Thank you for joining me today. We have a special guest with us. Please tell us your name and what have you done in the Navy so far?
All right, now we should be good, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, I'm ready.
Yeah. Please tell them your name and what have you done in the Navy so far? What made you join the Navy?
My name is Kevin Kesterson. I joined the Navy shortly after I graduated from high school because I felt I needed uh, a new start, something to do because I didn't really have a career path uh, planned out or anything, and I fell on some hard times. So I joined the Navy with a friend.
Mhm. And was it like, you know, get out of high school or did you have other plans before you joined the Navy?
I was going to school at night, and I was working full time as a auto mechanic at J.C. Penney, and it was okay for the first few months, but like I said, it got difficult, and I was struggling. So an opportunity came along through a friend who said, "Hey, let's get out of here, join the Navy, and go see the world." So I decided that it was worth a try.
Mhm. What did you do in the Navy? I remember you saying you worked on submarines, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I was a submarine machinist mate. I worked on auxiliary equipment on board the submarine.
What was it like?
It was a lot of hard work, a lot of long hours. The work was very extensive, so where other people on the submarine were having time off and enjoying, even when we were out to sea, a lot of times I was working, but I was also learning a lot, and I felt that knowledge and education could get me a decent job when I got out of the Navy. Because I initially only planned to stay in for 6 or so years.
So it wasn't like a long term thing, mostly like a thing to
Initially, it wasn't, but I ended up 30 years.
30 years. That's impressive. Um, so what the? That's weird. So during your time in the Navy, did you see any submarine combat by chance?
No combat. We were at the height of the Cold War, and we had a couple of instances that was pretty. I use the word hairy, um, because we came across a Russian submerged contact, and we went into a posture of battle, but we never actually engaged.
Got it. What was basic training like for you?
Basic training was not too difficult. I was still in pretty good shape from high school. You know, I stayed in shape. I was on a wrestling team, so I was in pretty good health. Um, but just the whole process was new to all of us. Waking up at 4:30 in the morning and uh, exercising, and just the whole schedule took some getting used to.
Oh my God. So it was like a new schedule for you, a whole new way of living, basically.
Yes, yes. The adjusting part was the most difficult. Nothing physically that we did, was that difficult. And of course, being away from home, your family, essentially for the first time. Um, but I don't really, at that time, I wasn't really getting homesick because, like I said, I was looking for something new to get me out of what I was doing.
Makes sense. Um, the people you met in the Navy. Who was the first person you met besides your friend?
Um, well, I mean, besides the people I went to boot camp with, um, after boot camp, I went to another school that's submarine basic training, which where you learn more. It wasn't so physical as it was educational, um, because you have to learn the design of the submarine, and they prepare you for being on a submarine, and then you have to go through a battery of tests to make sure that you can be on a submarine. So we had to go through pressure chamber tests and a escape training test where we had to swim from the bottom of a 100-foot tower to the top, uh, simulating that we were escaping from a submarine because some people can't do that. And if you couldn't, you were disqualified and sent either home or to the surface Navy.
What did your parents that thought about you joining the Navy during, like, the Cold War, or ties with Vietnam rising up?
My dad was, his initial thought was that I was making a mistake. He was upset that I had joined, that I didn't discuss it with him first. He was in the Marine Corps during Korea, and so, which was totally different than what I experienced. But uh, he said that I was foolish to do that. But shortly after I got in and uh, started establishing myself and doing well, um, he changed his attitude and thought that what I did was the smart thing to do.
So, what did you do after you were done with the Navy? Did you go back to school? Did you?
I went to school off and on during the time I was in the Navy. So when I got out, I had a bachelor's degree in business administration. But no, I went to well, I took a year off when I got out. 6 months was planned, and then the other 6 months was looking for a job. Uh, but then I got hired by a retired rear admiral who started a program working with wounded warriors, and I was one of his representatives that did that program here in the North Carolina um, region in this area. I helped them transition out of the Marine Corps, which was basically the wounded warriors. I had a couple of sailors, but most of them were Marine Corps, and I helped them start a career in healthcare.
That's nice. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I only could afford 3 minutes for this. I meant 10 minutes for the Zoom call, so I have one more question.
Sure.
So the
Okay.
ROTC Awards night. How did you get involved in that? Because I noticed many of y'all always come and you never miss a single day. But how did that become new revenue?
Well, we wanted to get more involved with community, and I had some experience when I was active duty in Italy working with JROTC because the high school in Naples, Italy, it's a DoD high school. They have a JROTC unit. So my sailors worked with the JROTC, and I was very good friends with the master gunnery sergeant who was the instructor, and we helped them with their PT training. My color guard taught his color guard how to do ceremonies and stuff like that. Um, and so when we started talking about how can we get involved in the community, my mind flashed back to JROTC, and I started talking to the other members about it, and they liked the idea. It was a good way for us to get involved, which wouldn't take a whole lot of time for people to invest in it to be successful. So it has grown over the years. We first started out with about 3 schools, but now we're up to 10 high schools that we support.
Yeah, that's great because you guys are really like when we see you guys, we mainly think of the like, you know, these people they've done good things. They've been places that most of us can only dream of. So
Hmm. Well, what I would like to do is further it with coming to your schools and like while you're in class and tell you a little bit about submarine duty, show some pictures, of the inside of a submarine, and just for awareness, because we recognize that when students are talking about joining the Navy, they're all going somewhere else besides submarines.
yeah.
We feel that there's not enough publicity. For one, we're called the silent service because it's a secret, it's volunteer service, but what we do is secret. And we can talk in generic terms, but we can't talk about specifically what we did or where we were.
Oh,
And
so that's
so,
why you said last time you have to kill.
hmm,
That,
yeah, and that's a joke that we
yeah.
tell everybody. If I told you, I'd have to kill you. But it's because we are not allowed. I mean, my son tried to get some information out of me, and I told him I can't tell you, and he got upset with me. He said, "I'm your son." I said, I know, but
All
I
right.
can't tell you.
Well,
So,
we have about 20 seconds left. It
okay.
says on my thing. Do you have any last words to say to the people?
No, but I just want to keep supporting JROTC because you guys are the future of our country. And, I'm very impressed with what
Well,
I've seen in the schools and how you guys do. So,
all
thank
right.
you for what you do.
No problem. And that will be it. Have a good day.